unclassified email from Hillary's illegal server. That's a lot of illegality that one statement. That's just not in other words, the State Department was trying to cover up Hillary's crimes of sending classified information on a server our enemies could easily access to the public. This is a criminal act, a conspiracy that included Hillary's deleting and lynching of 33,000 emails. That's only a small percentage. Because frankly, you didn't do that. You wouldn't even get this back. But that's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So you have the disappearance of 13 iPhones, many of them whacked with a hammer. Who here has gotten rid of your phone and hit it with a hammer? Anybody? How many people? Anybody? Nobody? One? Oh, I want to find out the business that guy's in. But she whacked them, a lot of them with her hammer. Just whacked them. 2 boxes, I don't know if you even know this, 2 boxes of email evidence has gone missing 2 weeks ago. And the destruction of laptops in a secret deal with the FBI. Remember also that Crooked Hillary lied under oath to Congress, saying she had never sent or received classified information on her insecure server. And she pretended not to know that the letter C meant confidential information that was classified. Hillary then told the FBI she couldn't remember 39 times. Bad memory. And then in a written testimony last week under oath, she couldn't remember approximately 21 times. Can anyone believe this stuff? This is... I'll tell you, look, I'll tell you. This is one of the great miscarriages of justice in the history of this country. What's happened to the Department of Justice, what's happened to the FBI is so sad. And you have so many incredible people in justice and in FBI. And they must be absolutely reeling. They probably don't believe themselves what's going on. We're witnessing a criminal enterprise that has turned our government into a vehicle for the Clintons' personal profit at your expense. But it gets worse. It gets worse. The FBI documents that show Undersecretary of State Patrick Kennedy made the request for altering classification as part of a quid pro quo. In other words, a deal. This is felony corruption by any standard, Undersecretary Kennedy needs to resign. I wonder if her mommy and daddy are going to be angry with her. All right, that's okay. Hey, I have to tell you, we haven't had any of this practically. The Bernie supporters had much more energy. They really did. They had a lot more energy. So Clinton and her cronies have sacrificed your security, your family's safety, and your country's safety as though it meant nothing to her at all, which it didn't. This magnitude's worse, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many people in law enforcement. This is worse than Watergate, what's going on with this. And what does she get out of it? She gets to run for the presidency of the United States. Explain that. Explain that. But we're going to put an end to that on November 8th. Yeah, we're going to win. We're going to win. Those polls were great today, but, you know, they're also showing there's like an undercurrent that they can't poll. Remember when I was in the primaries? How's he doing in such and such? Well, it looks like he won't win that state. Then the next day, it's like, you win in a landslide. They say, what happened? Now, we'll take it anyway. I mean, this is, I guess, like people don't want to say they're voting for Trump. Which is okay. We'll take it any way we get it. Do you agree? We'll take it any way we get it. But there's a big, big undercurrent out there. Another series of emails shows top officials in the Clinton campaign scheming to take massive sums of money from foreign lobbyists. One of the emails from a top Hillary official said, quote, take the money with, and you know what they had, exclamation, exclamation, just take the money. This is money bundled by people registered as lobbyists on behalf of foreign governments. Remember, we're competing in a rigged election. This is a rigged election, folks, okay? And I said it with me. Remember I won Louisiana? I said, oh, how many delegates do I get? And they showed me that my opponents had more than I said, wait a minute, what's going on here? I won the state. I went there on a Friday night. We had these massive crowds, great state, and I won the state. So a week later, I'm going over delegates, right? They count. And they're saying, how many? I said, wait a minute, this guy has 18. I have 9. I won the state. No, well, he didn't. No, well, that's the way the system works. I said, well, then it's a rigged system. Didn't it? But you have to say, we figured it out, right? We figured it out. But it is. And Bernie Sanders, with his, super delegates, everything else, Bernie Sanders, I'll bet he wished he didn't endorse her. He would have been something very special in history. But we're not going to let that happen to us, okay? Not to the movement. The media is trying to rig the election by giving credence, and this is so true, by giving credence to false stories that have no validity and make it a front page. They take a story with absolutely nothing that didn't exist, and they put it front page news because they want to poison the minds of the voters. Well, they really do. I mean, they want to poison the mind. They take things and statements and put it in from 30 years ago, from 20 years ago. By the way, just so you understand, just to be very clear, events that never happened. Just so you do understand that, okay? It's amazing. It's amazing. I think most people do believe me. That's why we are having, and it's in our favor, a backlash like nobody has ever seen before. They're tired. People are tired of it. Front page news, a phone call, front page news. And then it turns out it's false stuff. It's all false stuff. There's a backlash. A very, very prominent person from Wisconsin just left the back room. I said hello to him. And he said, Mr. Trump, I want to thank you. You are taking abuse, the likes of which nobody that has ever run for office has taken. Very prominent person, and I really appreciate it. He might be here someplace. And most importantly, you have your former Miss Wisconsin, right? Your former Miss Wisconsin, who got out of the hospital to be with us. This is one of the greatest people you will ever, who got out of the hospital. Stay out of that hospital, will you? This is an amazing person, an amazing woman. Thank you, darling, for being here. And we have our generals, and we have our sheriff. Nobody gonna mess with our sheriff. Nobody gonna mess with our sheriff. And he was there early when he endorsed Trump. He was there very early when he endorsed. Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate it. Sheriff Clark. And his family, more importantly. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. The media is an extension of the Clinton campaign, as WikiLeaks has proven. And they don't talk about WikiLeaks. They just keep talking about Trump, Trump, Trump. They want to put nice, sexy headlines up, even though nothing happened, nothing took place, even though it's a total fabrication. They've got to start talking about WikiLeaks. They've got to start talking about the things that are going on. Hillary even got the questions and answered in it. We need some truth. We need truth. We do need truth. You know, to make America great again, we do need some truth from these people, I will tell you. Because they poison the minds of voters. Not everybody understands what's happening, and by the time they do figure it out, it's too late. They're poisoning the minds of voters. Remember this, Hillary even got... All right, get him out. That's okay. Do you notice it's always one at a time? One at a time. By the way, where's Diane Hendricks? Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? She's so amazing. One of your great, great successful people. She's an amazing woman, Diane. I know you're here someplace, wherever you are, an amazing woman. Hillary even got the questions and answers in advance of a major debate. How do you do that? And think of it. Nobody made a big deal. Nobody even knows about it. She got the questions in advance to essentially a debate. Can you imagine? No. Can you imagine if Donald Trump got the questions in advance? You know what they'd do? They'd reinvent the electric chair. That's what they do. You don't even hear about that. Sheriff, did you ever hear about this? Nobody hears. She got, and by the way, behind you is one of your great football players, folks. Look at this guy. And he is a man of God, I will tell you. Thank you. Thank you. One of the greats. Oh, those championships. I don't know about Green Bay this year, I think. What do you think? They're going to be okay? He says yes, they'll be okay. A new report from the Center of Public Integrity shows that 96% of so-called journalists or reporters who made presidential donations this circle gave their money, gave themselves, gave everything to crooked Hillary Clinton. Can you believe it? They even want to try to rig the election at the polling booths. And believe me, there's a lot going on. You ever hear these people? They say there's nothing going on. People that have died 10 years ago are still voting. Illegal immigrants are voting. I mean, where are the street smarts of some of these politicians? They don't have any, is right. So many cities are corrupt and voter fraud is very, very common. The following information comes straight from Pew Research. Quote, approximately 24 million people, one of every 8 voter registrations in the United States are no longer valid or significantly inaccurate. 1 in 8. More than 1.8 million deceased individuals right now are listed as voters. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, if they're going to vote for me, we'll think about it, right? But I have a feeling they're not going to vote for me. Of the 1.8 million, 1.8 million is voting for somebody else. Approximately 2.75 million people have registrations in more than one state. Do we love our police? Do we love our police? Law enforcement. Law enforcement. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can see they're getting angrier and angrier with everyone. No, because there's such a disturbance, you people. Then there's the issue of illegal immigrants voting. The following comes from a 2014 report from the Washington Post. This article was entitled, Could Non-Citizens Decide the November Election? Here are some excerpts. More than 14% of non-citizens in both 2008 and 2010 samples indicated that they were registered to vote. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Because non-citizens tend to favor Democrats, to put it mildly, Obama won more than 80% of the votes of non-citizens in the 2008 sample. You don't read about this, right? They don't tell you about this. Your politicians don't tell you about this when they tell you how legitimate all of these elections are. They don't want to tell you about this. We find that this participation was large enough to plausibly account for Democratic victories in various close elections, okay? All right? Non-citizen votes could have given Senate Democrats the pivotal 60th vote needed to overcome filibusters in order to pass health care reform and many other reforms and other Obama administration priorities. Now, it continues, it is possible that non-citizen votes were responsible for Obama's 2008 victory in North Carolina. Obama won this state by 14,000 votes, so a turnout by 5.1% of North Carolina's adult citizens, and by the way, we're doing great in North Carolina. I want that. We're going to win North Carolina. But we don't want non-citizen voters, if that's okay. Is that all right to ask for? It could have provided his margin of victory. Our system is also rigged by the donors, giving hundreds of millions of dollars to Hillary Clinton's campaign. And again, I will have spent over $100 million on my campaign. I am controlling myself. I'm working for you, folks. I'm working for you. I'm working for you. Very good. And they're all telling me what a great job and what a big movement. There's never been anything like this in this country. And they all admit it. Even the enemies back there admit it. But if I don't win, it will be the greatest waste of time, energy, and money that I will. Oh, what a waste. What a waste. They all say, it won't be a waste. You'll be in the history books. Let me tell you something, folks. I don't want to be in the, I want to win. If we win, we will do something. We're going to make America great again. That's what we're going to do. The reason Hillary Clinton pushes for job-killing NAFTA or Trans-Pacific Partnership, which you cannot let happen, it's a disaster. And for complete, oh, don't worry, we're building the wall, he says. Build the wall. Who is going to pay for the wall? 100%. By the way, I'm not kidding, 100%. All of these partnerships and for completely open borders. She wants open borders. She wants people to pour across our borders. We won't have a country, folks. It's because her international donors control every single move she makes. If we let the Clinton cartel run this government, history will record that 2017 was the year America lost its independence. So important. We will not let that happen. It is time. It is time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. This is why I'm proposing a package of ethics reforms to make our government honest once again. When Bill Clinton, who was right about Obamacare 2 weeks ago, by the way, he said it's crazy, came into office, he signed an executive order saying if you work for the White House or a federal agency, you can't lobby the government for 5 years after you leave. But then President Clinton did what the Clintons always do. He rigged the system on his way out, right? Clinton lifted the executive order so Clinton cronies like John Podesta could start raking in cash. So here's what we as a group are announcing tonight. First, I'm going to reinstitute a 5-year ban on all executive branch officials lobbying the government for 5 years after they leave government service. I'm going to ask Congress to pass this ban into law so that it cannot be lifted by executive order, right? Second, I'm going to ask Congress to institute its own 5-year ban on lobbying by former members of Congress and their staffs. It's enough. Third, I'm going to expand the definition of lobbyists so we close all the loopholes that former government officials use by labeling themselves consultants, advisors, all of these different things, and they get away with murder. Not going to happen. Fourth, I'm going to issue a lifetime ban against senior executive branch officials lobbying on behalf of a foreign government. And fifth, I'm going to ask Congress to pass a campaign finance reform that prevents registered foreign lobbyists from raising money in American elections and politics. This will go a long way to ending our government corruption, but we will end economic stagnation also, and that will help. My plan for the economy can be summed up in 3 very beautiful words: jobs, jobs, jobs. Jobs. They're taking our jobs away. They're going to Mexico. They're going all over the place. We're going to keep our companies here, folks. They're not leaving. If they want to leave, there will be consequences. You understand that. And they won't leave. When they hear there's consequences, they're not leaving. Believe me, they're not leaving. Our politicians have worked for years to try and keep our companies. It's so easy. It's so easy. You want to leave, you want to build whatever you want to build. Cars, Ford is leaving. Carrier's leaving. So many companies, there's so many. You know, we lost 70,000 factories. 70,000 factories since the signing of NAFTA. I thought it was a typographical error. I figured maybe 700, maybe 7,000, 70,000 factories. At the center of my jobs plan will be fixing our terrible trade deals. They are horrible. 47 million Americans are in poverty, and 45 million Americans are on, right now, food stamps. We have nearly an $800 billion annual trade deficit in goods with the rest of the world, and the worst so-called recovery by far since the Great Depression. Did you see the jobs numbers the other day? Horrible. You saw our GDP is going to be, in my opinion, less than 1%. You know, if China goes to 7%, 8%, 9%, it's like a national catastrophe. If we're at less than 1%, which is what it will be, it's like, oh, what else? We're not going to put up with it. It's the Clintons who gave us NAFTA. He signed it, remember that. Bill Clinton signed the worst trade deal in the history of the world. And the Clintons who gave us China's entry into the World Trade Organization. Here in Wisconsin,